All right, so I'm back at Reservoir across from TRU, and I just met Jack for the second time. We struck up a conversation about whitewater kayaking. He's been kayaking for about 4 years. Saw his boat on top of his car, and kayaking brings people together. So Jack, I'll let you introduce yourself, kind of give a little background about where you come from, how you came to Kamloops, and what you're kind of currently doing.
Yeah, so my name is Jack Jones. I came to Kamloops 6 years ago to start the Bachelor of Tourism Management, then worked a year at Sun Peaks as a ski patroller before coming back to do the Adventure Guide Diploma and Bachelor of Interdisciplinary Studies. So I'm actually visiting Kamloops right now from my home in Victoria. I'm here to defend my thesis and did that yesterday and passed. So
Nice.
I'm celebrating and then going home tomorrow, really.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you're heading back to the water for the summer. What are you doing for summer?
Yeah, for the summer I'm working as a sea kayak guide. I've been doing that for the past 5 or 6 years and working for a summer camp out on Vancouver Island in Souk.
Oh,
So,
cool.
Yeah.
And we were talking about basically how kayaking brings people together and how it's an individual sport that you do in a group setting because you always have to get each other's backs. You know, as someone who's been kayaking for a long time and is now guiding people around Vancouver Island or on the river, whatever it be, share your perspective of how that dynamic kind of works. It's hard for people to fully understand the sport and how you're by yourself, but you're not.
Yeah, it's a funny sport in that way, whitewater kayaking specifically, because you're relying on everybody else who's on the river for your safety. So if you're getting on the river with somebody, if you flip over and you don't roll back up, you're relying on them that they're either going to be able to T-rescue you, or if you swim out of your boat, that they're going to collect you and your gear. And the whitewater environment is quite a dynamic environment. So, like, if you're on the river, you might not know day to day what's going to be downstream, even if you've run that run before. So you need to be able to rely on the people that you're with, that they're going to be safe and that they're not going to put you in harm's way, and also that if you are in harm's way, they're going to be able to help you get out of it.
Yeah, and the kayaking industry or people's interest in paddle sports has exploded in recent years.
Yeah.
We have the Kamloops Lake, which is a fabulous place to go and out for a little dip, but then we've also got some really great rivers around Kamloops if you have a bit of gas money to drive on up. What are some of the places that people can maybe check out the whitewater environments close to Kamloops?
Yeah, I would say the best place to start would be to either go down to the Thompson River at like Riverside Park and just get used to some moving water and get used to the temperature, especially if you're not doing it in the summer. And then going somewhere like Clearwater, there's kayak instructing companies up there that can get you on the river for your first time, and they'll take you into some Class 1 or Class 2 moving water. Clearwater is a great spot to start if you're starting with a company. And then the Adams River is a close local run that's definitely where I like cut my teeth between the Adams and the Clearwater. Those are some good runs to get started with.
And just to pull it back a little bit, myself included, I started off, jumping on a family rafting trip, Gentles, right?
Yeah.
Whitewater is a different environment, and without proper instruction and knowledge, it's quite a unsafe environment, but it can also be quite a fun place to play with the right instruction. As someone who's gone through the programs here, there's something called Swiftwater Rescue. I want if you could share a little bit of what that means and why that's important to someone who wants to get into the sport.
Yeah, so the way I got into whitewater kayaking, I had a history of sea kayaking, and my first week of whitewater kayaking was with a course through TRU called Kayak 1, and the first day of that course we were in the pool and on the Thompson River, with barely moving water, and then the first day that we really get into the moving water environment, we do basic swiftwater rescue, including like how to use a throw rope and how to swim in the river environment, because there's 13 absolutes, and I'm not going to list them all. But one of the first is that you should never enter a swiftwater environment where you're not prepared to swim, and one that you're not prepared to do a rescue in. So learning those rescue skills is the first step to becoming a boater and even to entering the river environment, right? The other thing to do would be to take a full swiftwater rescue course, which is something I did early in my kayak career and something that I look for in my fellow paddlers. If I'm going on the river with somebody, I want to know that they're going to be able to save me and that they're going to be able to save themselves. It's much easier if somebody does swim, if they can swim to safety themselves, and then my job becomes to save their gear, which if you're losing a boat every time you're going paddling, that adds up pretty quick, faster than gas money.
Totally.
Yeah. Did that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, and the community aspect's kind of funny because you mentioned that you want someone who be able to take care of you and vice versa, right? So you almost have to be on that same plane of abilities. And luckily, there's a classification system for kayakers. Class 1 through 5.
Yep.
And in a community environment, sometimes you don't want to turn people away, but that's the safest thing to do and say, sorry, we're going to paddle here. We don't feel comfortable paddling with you. Have you ever had any instances where that has come to become a problem, or is it generally people understand how the whole dynamic works?
Yeah, I've definitely been in both scenarios. I've been in scenarios where I've had somebody who didn't understand why they weren't invited or why we were asking them not to get on the river with us one day. But I've also definitely been in the other side of that, which is way more fun, where we have changed our objective because we know that somebody is not ready for the objective of the day, and making sure that everybody is ready for what you're going to paddle is kind of, that's where you are working as a team, right? And I've also been in scenarios where I've gotten on the river with a bunch of people that I didn't know, and the whitewater community is a pretty welcoming community, so I felt like I was welcome on the river, and I knew my own abilities, and I knew that run, and I knew that I would be safe, and I've gotten into situations where I felt uncomfortable with the ability level of other people on the river who have run that river before, but I felt uncomfortable because I didn't know that if something happened to me, they would be able to save me. So like I had an incident this year where I was getting ready to get on the river, and somebody asked if I could show them the line in a rapid, and I felt comfortable with that. And it was the put-in rapid on a river, so some people were kind of hanging out and running safety on shore, which is a pretty common event on a big rapid to have people on shore running safety. And as I was walking up to put in, somebody asked if I had a throw bag and if they could borrow it. And a throw bag is the kind of the safety line that everybody has on the river. If somebody is swimming, you throw them your throw bag from shore, and that's one of the
essential pieces of your kit.
Yeah.
You don't get in your boat without your throw bag. You don't leave your boat without your throw bag.
Yeah.
It's always on you, just like your helmet, just like your life jacket, right?
Yeah. So that was a scary moment right at the start of a day to know that I didn't know the people I was paddling with, and I made some assumptions that everybody would have a throw bag, and suddenly I realized that I needed to be on my game all day because that basic level of safety wasn't there.
Yeah, it's interesting how the community works too, because there's not a lot of kayakers out there.
Yeah.
In the whitewater sense, the flat water sense is blown up, but in the whitewater sense, there's not a huge community. So when you meet another kayaker, you get excited, and sometimes you forget to ask, what's your comfort level, and there's kind of just the assumption that the river brings everyone together.
Yeah.
And that it's going to be okay.
The paddling community at TRU and in Kamloops I've found is an anomaly, in that a lot of the people that I paddle with, they came from the guiding program, and their basic level of safety is being either like a swiftwater rescue technician, or at least having like a basic level of guiding knowledge for entering the river environment. They've been guided and been instructed on how to enter that environment. And it was a transition for me to go back into just the community at large and realize that's not the norm. The norm that I started with is not the norm, and I have to ask questions and be careful and vigilant when I'm choosing paddling partners.
Yeah, it's different than like hiking, where hiking you show up at the trailhead and just in different groups and you just go out, onesie, twosies, whatever it be, but there's this assumption that as soon as you have a boat, that someone's going to join you, and you're not going to ask questions, and that definitely is can be challenging.
Yeah. The other challenging aspect is that when you're hiking, you can hike with anybody, and if something goes wrong, you have a long time to get search and rescue there and to get like further first aid. You want to know that somebody's going to be able to kind of bandage you up, but in a whitewater environment, we're talking about like a matter of minutes between somebody being alive and drowning to death.
And the unfortunate part is you stay in the community long enough, you're going to have the stories. And unfortunately, I have the stories. I've been lucky that it's not people who've been very close to me, but definitely have rocked a couple friends' worlds and very, very competent paddlers. The type of people you would never, ever expect because you're always trying to progress. You're always trying to push yourself and to get to that next level, whatever that level is, right? It's not always just about having a fun float trip, right? You want to go. And as someone who's summer's coming up, you're headed to the islands. I think there's that big race coming up. Which race?
The Gordon. It happened a couple weeks ago, and I wasn't able to attend, but it seemed like it was a fun time for all those involved, and I think it was low levels. So there's different hazards that come out with low levels than high levels, and
a couple bumps to the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the festival circuit of it all is quite interesting as well, right? Because there's the Chilliwack Fest that's always a fun time, and they have the varieties of almost barely off of flat water to the advanced level boaters, which I highly recommend someone to maybe check out if they want to just get a feel for what things are. And well, Jack, while we're coming to the close here, what's kind of some things you might want to share, someone who might consider donning a life jacket, helmet, ensuring they have a throw bag in their boats?
I guess my biggest piece of advice is be honest with yourself about what your abilities are, and make sure that you're going out with people who are being honest with themselves about their abilities. And it's not a sport of pride. So
it's a sport that humbles you, because there's actually the booty beer. Explain what's the booty beer?
A booty beer is what you get when you swim and someone rescues you in your boat, and after the day is done, you have to drink a beer after it's been poured into your soggy booty.
Yes, to appease the river gods so you don't swim again. And if you happen to try to avoid it, the inevitable will happen. You will swim
and
once again.
Do another booty beer.
Exactly. And your friends are not going to let you down.
No.
So you have to join in. But Jack, where can people find you if you're out there? Do you have a guiding profile or?
You could probably find me on the infamous Facebook. If people are looking for a guide, I'm certified to take people on the river, and I guess we can attach my Twitter handle or something to this.
You're a Twitter guy?
I'm not on Twitter, but Instagram. Somebody can find me that way.
Instagram. Yeah, we'll link up his Instagram if you're on the island and you're looking for someone who's knowledgeable, who has the certifications, which you can pull out at any time and prove to you, hey, I got this. Don't worry. Jack's your guy, and thank you for chatting with me, even though I just randomly threw you into this.
Thanks, Nevin.
Cheers.